What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today I'm going to be going over all the recent changes to Destiny that are live right now in the game and they're paving the way for the Rise of Iron expansion. So this update is called 2.4.0. There are some pretty crazy things in this update, exotics being buffed and nerfed, entire weapon categories changing and also perks, and a load of other general things that are changing how you play Destiny. And I'm also actually in Seattle right now visiting Bungie, so I have some really awesome videos coming up very soon on the channel. Keep an eye out for sure. But let's take a look at these highlights of what I think is most noteworthy in this patch. I'll start off with a few quick general things and then get into those exotic changes and also the weapon balances. So the first thing which is really awesome is that shaders are now going to be affecting all class items, mainly the cloaks of course, which is the most noteworthy thing. Absolutely cannot wait to try this out myself, and of course this was a feature we've known about for a while now. Also, public events are now a lot more rewarding. They give you a bunch of items like legendary engrams, planetary materials, legendary marks, motes, XP, and also Vanguard rep. And there's a small chance of getting an exotic shard on top of that as well, so much more rewarding in terms of public events when you complete in the gold tier. Also, the menu's been shifted slightly to be formatted more like the Rise of Iron gameplay that I've uploaded before, with the quest page being renamed to Progress and record books on the side, and you'll also see the slot for ornaments in there too. So in the Crucible loot screens, you'll see there are no more legendary engrams that will be dropping. Instead, they're going to drop a Crucible weapon, so that means a higher chance of getting things like the IS Luna, the Party Crasher, the Red Spectre, and all the others, so really awesome stuff there. The Crucible Quartermaster bounties have been removed completely. No idea if there are other bounties elsewhere, but I really love those bounties. They're a really good source for XP for Crucible, so I'm really disappointed they've removed them, and hopefully there's more XP you can get from other bounties elsewhere. So in 3v3 Crucible, the heavy ammo bricks are going to give you less ammo, and also in Elimination, which includes Trials, the heavy ammo round is only going to be one spawn in the middle instead of two in each spawn, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see everyone fight over that one essential heavy spawn, and also Super I think is going to be very important there. They did a lot of changes to the salvage mode to do with the timings of the points and how they're earned. Hopefully it's not as broken as before, where there's literally no point in capping the relic and the enemy team gets so many points for dismantling, so hopefully salvage is a little bit better now. Also in Rift you get a quick overshield when you respawn to cut down on spawn trapping, and they extended the damage resistance when you pick up the spark. So with that stuff out of the way, let's look at these exotics and also the weapon balancing, which I think is the most interesting stuff. So firstly, the Fabian strategy, one of the worst exotics in the game. Kills with this weapon automatically load a portion of the magazines to give you a bit of ammo back, and also increase the base range by 16% and stability by 44%. The Thorn has had its base range reduced by 25%, which is very interesting indeed. Also, the Universe Remote, another one of the most hated exotics in the game. This thing was very powerful, and now its exotic range perk has had its bonus reduced by 75%. So the range overall hasn't been reduced by 75%, it's just the amount that perk benefited it has been reduced by that much. And it's also increased its rate of fire and lowered its damage and impact as a result, so it's basically become one of the worst archetypes in the game unless the high impact one-shot kills. So the Universe Remote definitely had a hard hit right there. It'll be interesting to see if it's actually bad or if it's actually still usable in the game. Also, the Dreg's Promise is increased damage by 8% and magazine size by 3. The Touch of Malice, this is a very interesting one. So when the Touch of Malice starts hurting you and inflicting damage to yourself, that's going to remove Blessing of Light altogether, so you can't use Blessing to just tank a bunch of the damage, which is a very good strategy to melt a lot of bosses. So maybe that means there's going to be a couple of bullet sponges in Rise of Iron, or especially the raid, but that feature has been completely removed, so now Touch of Malice is not as good for just completely melting down bosses. The Boolean Gemini, a pretty average exotic, nothing too special. That has got an intrinsic perk added called High Caliber Round, so pretty interesting right there. And finally, the No Time to Explain has got an intrinsic perk called Head Seeker added on top of it. So next up, we're going to look at these sniper rifles. Some very strange changes gone on here. They've reduced the damage on the mid-high impact rate of fire ones, so 1000 Yard Stare, the Longbow, LDR, Her Fury, all those ones that pretty much most people use. Their damage has been reduced by 6.95%, meaning these mid-high impact snipers can no longer reliably kill a high armor guardian in their super. Also, No Land Beyond is not affected by this damage reduction, and also on top of that, they've reduced the target acquisition of the LDR and also the Longbow to bring it in line with the other snipers to the same family. So these snipers are not going to be very good at reliably killing high armor guardians with their super, which is a very controversial change. I personally disagree with it, and they said how they want the Black Spindle to be your key to taking down supers, which I definitely disagree with. I don't think you should have to use a weapon like the Black Spindle to take someone out of the super, but let me know your thoughts. I personally disagree, but of course let me know what you think in the comment section. So next up is another sniper nerf, which I definitely agree with, and this is basically increasing the flinch on the snipers, which I personally noticed at Gamescom. They want to give your primary weapon a better chance in contesting with sniper rifles, so they increase the initial flinch for snipers when taking damage when you're scoped down from 30% to 50%. With each hit, the flinch is going to be increasing until you hit 100% max flinch. And they also increased the overall scoped in flinch multiplier from 1.85 to 1.9, so very tiny, but it means more flinch in general. So for auto rifles, they reduced the max magazine size for the Doctrine and high rate of fire auto rifle type. They also increased the damage of the mid rate of fire autos by 1.5%. With shotguns, they've buffed the Immobius, they've buffed the spread on the full auto perk if you've got that on a shotgun, and also increased the damage of high rate of fire and middle rate of fire shotguns by 2%. Obviously the low rate of fire and high impact shotguns are the best in Crucible, so I want to kind of bring them in line, but I still think the high impact are going to be the kings right now. With pulse rifles, they've increased the rate of fire for the Ludmilla D pulse rifle, and also increased the damage of the mid rate of fire pulse rifles by 2%, which is the No Man's Mercy archetype, so definitely be glad if you picked up that god roll recently. They thought sidearms are being underutilized, they want them to shoot further, faster and more predictably, so there are a bunch of small changes to the sidearms as a whole. They've increased the damage and also more in PvE, and they've also increased their range and also their stability. Now with rocket launchers, they've increased the damage range of cluster bombs, making them more effective at a wider kind of blast radius. The grenades and horseshoes on rocket launchers has been reduced by 0.3 meters and doesn't affect the truth, so pretty interesting they're reducing the grenades and horseshoes even further, and I think that's just made the truth even better because the truth is still unaffected and it's still one of the best rockets in the game. With machine guns, they've increased the damage of the high rate of fire machine guns by 4%. There are no changes to hand cannons or fusion rifles, just some tiny bug fixes. And also a lot of those awful perks have got slight buffs as well. Nothing major. They did buff Guerrilla Fighter, which is pretty funny. When you aim behind cover, the stability and range is increased by an additional 200%. I still think the perk is pointless because aim behind cover just isn't a movement mechanic that people utilize in Destiny, so I can't really see it ever being useful. I do think it's cool how they tried to buff some of the worst perks in the game, because some of them really don't feel that great at all, but overall I can't see much changes with them. And the final perks that were affected were armor piercing rounds, high caliber rounds and skip rounds being added some range to their weapons. So there we have it, a bunch of changes and features added to Destiny. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you like and what you dislike, and what you're excited for. Of course, Rise of Iron is just around the corner, got a lot of awesome videos in the way. If you want to read the full patch notes with every single detail, I'll link in the description. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like rating if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next one.